Hi, I'm Colin Kropach. I'm a Senior Project Manager, currently working in the health sector, looking after projects at some of the big DHBs in the Auckland area. I did computer science at university, started off in a technical role with ICL, a large English computer company that doesn't exist anymore. Then moved from programming through systems programming, looking after the technical aspects of computer, then worked for vendors in pre-sales consulting. And then got to a stage in my career when I was actually starting to look after projects. I actually got seconded full-time for about 2 years to the Bank of New Zealand, looking after their large SAP implementation here in Auckland as part of a global rollout for SAP for the NAB. And then for the last couple of years, been out back on my own again, doing work at insurance companies and now in the health sector. Typical day might be, first of all, check the emails, see what I'm supposed to be doing, actually look at my calendar, because in case I'm in the wrong location, because that's happened to me before. I should have been down at a hospital, it was at the office by accident. So make sure you know what you're doing, where you're prepared for, understand what your critical path is in terms of what you're doing, what the timing constraints are. Do you have any deadlines you've got to hit? If you have a deadline and you're going to be on time, you don't want to rush things and leave everything for the last minute. So preparation is key, planning is key. Making sure that I've engaged with all the technical people, the architects. I go and talk to them every day, talk to my test manager, talk to my peer at one of the DHBs in relation to their project, because we work very much side by side on the project. So making sure that they've got what they need, the architects got what they need, the technical people have what they need. And just sort of managing that and managing the ship going forwards. The best piece of advice I give to a project manager is walk around, talk to people. Don't sit at your desk all day long. Go around, ask people, what are they doing? Have they done it yet? And if not, why not? And what are you going to do things and fix things up if they've gone wrong? Managing stakeholders is difficult because you're getting a variety of different requirements, different interests. I think what you need to do is actually understand where they're coming from. What's important for them? What's in it for me as a stakeholder? Are they a stakeholder because they are the user of a system you're putting in? Are they a stakeholder because they're the one paying the bills? Are they a stakeholder because they've got to be part of the development? So it's really important to understand what sort of stakeholder they are and what's interesting and important to them. So I think once you've sorted that out, you can then determine how you need to engage with them. And the other thing is, no surprises. If you've got a problem, tell people early about the problem, because a problem told early can be fixed. Problem told later on, it's often too late to fix anything at all. I think there's governance at different levels. One is governance, which is project governance, which is the process you're going through in the organisation to get approvals. So it's key you actually know how long something's going to take, because if you find there's a number of stages of approvals and you don't know about that, it can delay your timeline, it can delay your project because you've inadvertently forgotten something. So if you tell your customer it's going to be ready on a particular day, but you actually haven't found out what the steps are to get to approval to a certain stage, say to release to production, and all of a sudden you find there's all these checkpoints and approvals and your timeline is now a month later, you're going to look stupid when you talk to the customer and say, well, that date I gave you? Well, it's actually wrong because I didn't realise about all of that. You then maybe need to understand the corporate governance process. Just because you got sign-off at a particular level doesn't necessarily mean you have sign-off at a C-level or a board level. Sometimes you need to understand the delegated authorities. If you have a certain value project, who has to sign it off? It's not just something that the chief executives can sign off. I've had projects where the board have had to sign it off because of value. You also need to understand if you're putting forward projects, what the business case values are. Some organisations have hurdle rates in relation to the value that project has to deliver to the business. And if it's a blue sky project, it might be it's got to deliver 25% return. If it's a must-do maintenance project, it might be 0% return because we've got to do it because the system's out of support. I think that Depending on the industry, Agile is going to come into play a lot in terms of faster, smarter, quicker, breaking things up into smaller chunks of work, so you're not doing big waterfall projects. Certain types of projects have to be waterfall by their very nature. You can't build a new data center a little piece at a time. You've got to do the planning and then populate that as you go. But if you're developing a new application or you're cutting across from one system to another, you could break it up into manageable chunks and manage it in an agile process. So I think that PMs are going to have to change and adapt to new ways of thinking smarter, thinking faster, being more nimble and agile on your feet, and also working with some of these new technologies, making sure they understand them. So as you progress through from the old mainframe days to middleware and client server, web-based stuff, just keeping abreast of all of that and knowing what's coming along, because I think that in the future clients are going to demand that sort of knowledge and that flexibility, and project managers, they'll be looking for people with experience in particular fields, and some of these fields are very new.